SMA simply means spirit mind awareness, right? So SMA is about understanding life, understanding our own selves. Mind is the instrument, so we have to understand how the mind operates and works. The mind, as most people know, is just the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. But SMA takes the aspirants to a far greater level in understanding the deeper mind levels. And in SMA, I teach the 7 levels of the mind. So SMA is about being aware of who you are and what the mind is in your role in this life. That's a very interesting question. Subconscious and unconscious, right? You know, Sigmund Freud spoke about the unconscious mind, and he was a well-known scientist. So I'm not going to criticize him, but tell you this much, that his understanding was kind of limited in that respect. So, you know, the ancient sages of India and other countries in the Far East understand the mind to be conscious and subconscious, but subconscious is when things are stored in your mind. So, for instance, when you do a repeated action, that goes into the subconscious mind. But when somebody is in a coma, they are unconscious. So, you know, a lot of people feel that unconscious and subconscious is the same, but it's not the same. You know, if somebody is in a coma, we don't say they're in the subconscious, do we? So, you know, they are unconscious. So the subconscious mind is a tool to gather information. The unconscious is when you are not knowing anything or being conscious of yourself. That's the difference. Right. SMA is to evolve the human being to a higher level or deeper level of thinking. I don't like to use the word higher, but I think deeper is far more better, because when we say higher and lower, so there's this stigma attached to it, like an ego feeling. Oh, I'm higher than somebody. Nobody is higher. It's a more deeper level of understanding. So the idea behind SMA is to develop the human person to start working with the deeper levels of the mind. The whole idea behind this, as your mind opens up to different levels through vibration, then greater powers and abilities can be used. For instance, now, let me give an example, like the higher mind consciousness. The higher mind consciousness is when information is taken out of the subconscious mind that is stored in very quickly. So by developing our mind consciousness or moving into deeper mind levels, we are now able to grab information very quickly from the subconscious mind to be used. That is the purpose of the higher mind consciousness. Then we have the greater mind consciousness, which is that is deeper than that, which is called the enlightened mind consciousness. The enlightened mind consciousness is to remove all the junk. It's where we use the power of our own discrimination to be able to remove all the rubbish that's in our mind. So we gather a lot of stuff through our life, and it is stored in, and it's habit forming, and we think, why have I done this? Why am I doing this? I shouldn't be acting this way. I shouldn't be getting violent or abusive. But some people just can't help themselves. So the enlightened mind consciousness teaches people how to remove all the junk and clear the mind. So we have meditation techniques that moves people into the higher mind consciousness, the enlightened mind consciousness, and above. We all have a teacher inside us. We all have a teacher inside us. This teacher is present in all beings. You don't have to look outside for the teacher. You don't have to read a book to discover the teacher. You don't have to go to a special yogi to discover a teacher. So that teacher is within us. That teacher comes in many forms. That teacher comes in our conscience, where it reminds us how to behave. It reminds us not to do incorrect things. That's the conscious. So the teacher speaks to our conscience. The teacher speaks through other means. Now, in a deep level of meditation, we can connect with the teacher. The teacher can then speak to us. So I did a meditation with my students, for instance, and I taught them the special technique of them moving through the forest, and as they go through the forest, they come into a clearing, and there sitting under one of the trees is a wise old man. So the students, I got them to imagine this in their mind and walk through this journey and meet with this teacher. And then I got them to ask the teacher any question that they wanted. And so the students then did that. The amazing part of it, one of the guys was in love with a particular woman, and he asked the teacher, "Shall I marry this woman?" And the teacher said, "Yes, but there are many lessons coming. By meeting this woman and marrying this woman, the lessons will be coming." Now, whether those lessons are good or bad, who knows? But this is what happened through the meditation practice. Well, we're all benefiting every step of the way, every life, every moment in our life, we're benefiting some way or the other. We do incorrect things, we suffer. We do correct things, we are blessed. So every experience is an experience of learning. But SMA has a short path to discovering the truth. You can take the long path through life and go through this journey with a lot of suffering. And of course you'll be learning, you'll get wisdom. Experience gives you wisdom, right? Or you can take the short path through SMA and discover this journey far quicker. For instance, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here on the planet? Where are we going to after we pass through this? A lot of teachings say we go to heaven or hell. And if we are good, we go to heaven. And if we are bad, we go to hell. Is it as simple as that? You think this entire creation is just a simple thing? Good, you go to heaven. Bad, you go to hell. There's no journey. There's a journey here in this life, but what about the journey beyond this life? How do we and where do we go to? What happens beyond this life? What happens? Is this journey ending? Does it completely come to a stop where you're sitting in heaven and consuming all the beautiful food and looking at the beautiful sights? What a boring life that is. There has to be greater. Or hell, suffering, continually suffering. How can you be continually suffering with no growth? There has to be growth. Every life is precious. Every life is on a journey. Every life under divinity is a precious life. So this life is on a journey. This life takes us on a path of ananda, which is bliss. It takes us to bliss. And there's different stages of experiences beyond this life. And every bit of it is learning. NLP works, I think, with brain and body. SMA works with mind and spirit. So what is the mind? Is it this? Where is the mind? How many levels is the mind? How can we reach these levels? So SMA teaches us about the mind and how the mind functions and what its greater purpose is and how it takes you. We use this as a tool to take us on this journey until this droplet of ourselves merges into the ocean. Now, when it merges into the ocean, can we see it separate? No, it is one. So the benefits of SMA is to take you on a journey of learning as quickly as possible. But of course, you have to do the work. Everything requires effort. So you can learn from experience. You can learn from experience. You can go through this process of life without reaching out to SMA to guide you. But through SMA has techniques to lift your consciousness, to evolve your consciousness to a greater understanding, so you don't make the mistakes that you've made or going to make. For instance, if you're walking along the path and I went ahead and discovered there's a hole in the floor and it's a dark night and people are following, I would say there's a hole here. Don't be careful. But if I stepped away and didn't do anything, the students will fall into the hole, go through the pain and suffering, and then say, oh my goodness, I fell into this hole, and get out of the hole. Now, when you fall into the hole, you're not just falling into the hole. There may be chances of injury and even death. So what I'm saying to people is I will guide people as much as I can along this path. But a lot of the work has to be done by themselves. They have to do the practice. They have to have self-control. They have to have discipline. And they have to have the correct mindset of doing this. So I use a technique of RCP. What is RCP? Regular, correct practice. So when we practice regularly and practice correctly, then the end result will be there. SMA has leadership. This is the first thing that we learn in SMA, leadership. You cannot journey through this life without developing leadership. Leadership means leading by example. You have to become a living example of life. Think good, be good, do good. Those are the essence of SMA. So under the leadership program, we teach people how to have clear thinking about righteous living, being good, doing good things for others in terms of service, and loving life. Loving life. When we are upset with something, we throw things or scream out and say, oh damn, I shouldn't have done this. I don't believe in that. We don't need to behave that way. We need to be very quiet. If anything happens, to be cool and calm about it, and then do it. Just do what we have to do. If you spilt milk, for instance, or spilt water, don't be upset. Just get up and do the work. So SMA is about leadership, to become a leader by example. We need leaders in this planet. We need people that are leaders. And you look at the world today, you know, some of the leaders, which I'm not going to name, are so poor in their leadership. The use of bad language, incorrect things that they do. You know, I won't go into what they do, but you as an observer can see that for yourself. So we need a planet of better leadership. We need to have good people on the planet coming up where they can show by example how to behave, how to live their life, how to appreciate everything. Look at the beautiful planet that we have. We need to appreciate it more. We need to be thankful. We look at the insects working continuously with so much of effort. We need to take all those things, use it as examples in our own life, and become leaders. So SMA leadership program, I teach meditation techniques and different types of skills so that people become good leaders. And then when they become good leaders through their own effort, and they will have to journal everything that they do. They will have to journal. What am I doing today? How have I done it? And once they journal it, they can reflect on it. I need to do things better in my life and so on. And then they become, when they finish the 9 lessons of leadership, then they can attempt the teacher's level. The teacher's level is for them to guide those people that need to learn about the leadership, how to develop and become leaders. So when a teacher has 20 students doing the leadership program, and now 20 people have now become better, 100 people have become better, 1,000 people have become better. So the idea of SMA is to make this world a better place by giving the right tools to do it. Now, if you want to build a brick house, you can't use the tools of a carpenter. You have to use the tools of a bricklayer. You got to have the skills of a bricklayer to be able to build a house. So SMA gives you the skills of how to build yourself and evolve yourself to a higher level of consciousness and maintain that. It's easy to be on a high level of consciousness today and tomorrow you are down here. It's easy to become an angel tomorrow, but the day after you're going to be the devil. Who needs the devil? We don't want the devil. We want to be angels forever. We got to keep it constant, right? So SMA teaches you how to become a teacher at the teacher's level and maintain your level. So those that you are guiding will become better.